New in St. Paul or cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. In the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. And in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. Good to have you with us today. Matt and Patrick, guest free today. But a little song interlude before we get going here. It's beginning to look a lot like Deutschland, 1938. Oh, who doesn't love martial law in D.C.? Oh, is it? It's almost like the cherry blossoms. Patrick, it's that time of year, isn't it?
Yep, it's quite a terrifying situation.
Terrifying? Sorry, I can't even keep a straight face by pretending that. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. We'll get to that eventually. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. As you, Stein, and I talked about, I did go to the Iowa State Fair over the weekend. It was a good time.
All right. Did you take our advice on the pork chop?
I did, yes.
And were we lying?
No, you weren't. I also, from the same stand, I got a brown sugar pork belly. That was the best thing I ate all day.
Oh, you are kidding me. Nicely done. Did you get any corn?
I did not know.
All right. Oh, what was your favorite thing to see while you were there?
I went into the egg building to try to see the butter cow, but unfortunately, one of the state politicians who has her booth in that building was handing out hard-boiled eggs on a stick. That is a no-no for me. I needed to get out before I could see the butter cow.
Well, it's hard-boiled eggs on a stick. That almost sounds like a weird sex toy. Anyway, I don't want to know which statewide politician that was. I did get sent a picture from Stein of Chuck Grassley standing in front of the butter sculpture. And the first thing, I don't know if you saw this, but I responded back to him and said, wait a second, I didn't think they put clothes on the butter sculptures. Yeah, Chuck needs to get some sun. I'm just going to say this. He does look like, he's not margarine yellow. He's a nice light white cream yellow butter, but he still is. He looks like butter, man. That's going to be it. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. And as I described, it's a fine state fair. It really is. But it definitely does have much more of the ag feel than kind of the Minneapolis-St. Paul one, which is much more metro, or the Milwaukee one, which they had the State Fair of Wisconsin, which they had to postpone, which definitely have much more of a metro feel to them.
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny because I was thinking about that. There were a couple times where I was standing and looking around and I kind of thought, which fair am I at again? Because it sounds like you and Jeff may not have been there for a while. They've got a sky glider now that's pretty identical to the one that we have.
Really?
Yeah, so, and they have a ye old mill. So there were a couple of times, like I was saying, I'm like, which fair am I at again?
So wait a second. You're saying that Iowa has copied Minnesota again?
Probably.
All right, there. Hey, Patrick's the one beating up on you, Iowa. Send cards and letters to him. Send them to him and let him take it out. Well, good. I'm glad you had a good weekend. I had something very interesting happen. Of course, it was... just a nice weekend. Was able to get on out and was able to kind of, do a lot of nice things as far as hiking and stuff. I really enjoyed that. I did hike one of the lakes. Well, I hiked two lakes. I like one on Saturday, one on Sunday. But I on the one on Sunday, I get stopped because I'm a radio host. This whole idea of me on a screen. Okay, sure. You want to watch this, OnlyFans. There's all I'll say. I do have an OnlyFans page. If you find it, no one's found it yet. If they find it, there you go. I'm not saying there's any content on it, but it's there. Things you should never do in the middle of the night. Or I'll just say it like that. Anyway, but I get, sometimes it's funny because I'll get identified and like I said, I don't do TV. I do radio. And so when someone recognizes me, it's usually when I say, "Oh, how much is it for asparagus?" And they're like, "Hey, I know your voice." And yes, exactly. All right, good enough. just fine. And I love that. I actually love meeting listeners. This guy recognized me from my face. I'm like, really? Wow. It's not a pretty face, but it was Greg and Lynn. And they stopped me. He was actually listening to the podcast of my show on Sunday as he was biking on a hybrid e-bike, which he gave me a lot of good. Lynn and Greg gave me a lot of good information on that. That was very cool. A very nice guy, and he said that he listens to the mothership station here throughout the afternoon. Not only my show, but the Gailey Show, and of course Native Roots Radio that's on after me. And it was very nice, and he loved old school radio. And he just said, "There's not unless you like sports, there's not a lot of talk radio options out there." So he does like listening to us and one or two other people in the market, and that was nice. He does say that he is on the left side of the aisle, or excuse me, the right side of the aisle, the right side of the political aisle. And so I like, really, you've been listening to me, and he's been listening to me for years. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. There are some days I know this ain't an easy listen for you. So I appreciate you putting up with the show. It was an absolute delight. I do love seeing and meeting listeners. I do, absolutely. And I'm coming down to Chicago in September. I'm looking forward to getting down there as well. It is fun. It's because it's that kind of community thing, and I just love it. But there are two things I have determined I have to clarify, because this is not the first time I've actually had the following two things said to me. First of all, as far as my walks, now, if you Chicago knows about this, Seattle, you may not know about this. I do the calendar every year. This is something that sprung out of the pandemic. When everything shut down, we basically what can we do? And they said, well, the parks are open. None of the facilities are open, but you can still go hike in the parks. And so we started talking about going into the parks and going out and hiking. And to kind of encourage that, I started taking photos on my iPhone, not because I didn't want to do a nice high-end phone. I wanted to do something that anyone could do. You could take your camera on your phone, go out into the wild, take great pictures, and enjoy this. And we ended up starting putting out calendars. And so now we're getting ready for our sixth calendar, our freaking sixth calendar, not on my bingo card, but sixth calendar. That's coming out later this year. And so I go out and I take pictures all the time of beautiful nature. And that's what we use in the calendar. There is this mentality that because I never put my wife in the photos that I post on social media or in the calendar, that I'm out there apparently roaming these parks by myself, which, okay, no. I am with other people, because more than a few people have said, are you all by yourself out there? I specifically do not post pictures of my family. And the reason why is, back in, I said back when he was born, it wasn't when he was born. I was talking to Greg and Lynn. It was actually when I first opened up my Twitter account, back when Twitter was somewhat sane. And I posted a picture of my son, and I immediately had liberal, stupid, blankety blank kid, boo, 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 boo. And I said, nope, my family did not sign up for this. I signed up for this, but my family didn't. So that's why I do not include any of my family in these pictures, because there are horrible, horrible human beings on the planet. And yeah, so seen. No, that's why. But I am out there with my wife, her burden, she is cursed. The other thing I need to clarify too is something I've also heard, particularly from right-wing people on the right, about my back getting broken by a drunken driver back in December of 2022. And this is not the first time I've heard this. And so I want to clarify this for the record. The person that hit me was a U.S. citizen from the suburbs of the Twin Cities. White guy. That's who hit me. Okay. There is this mentality that it was an undocumented, or as it was told to me, illegal, which no one's illegal, but an undocumented American is no. This is a guy that grew up in the suburbs of the Twin Cities. And I just want to clarify that, because apparently this is some kind of thing that's running around in conservative circles, that since I didn't talk about it, I was trying to keep this secret. I didn't talk about it because I didn't want to jeopardize the case against the guy who nearly killed me with his car. So that's why I didn't talk about it. But no, this was a guy from the Twin Cities. This was a guy from the suburbs. That's who did this. It wasn't an undocumented individual. All right. I just want to clarify those things. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Changing topics here just really briefly. Wallet Hub has come on out with its best states to live in. And the top one is Massachusetts, then Idaho, Jersey, Wisconsin, really, and Minnesota. Top 5 right there. All right. Illinois is fantastic. Washington's fantastic. I've been to both your states. So you're definitely on the higher end of that category. The bottom of that list is basically Magaville plus New Mexico, and that's it. Now, I don't want to necessarily talk about Minnesota or Wisconsin being on that list. I want to talk about Idaho. Okay, so these are the best states to live in is Idaho. Idaho, there are communities in Idaho which have a very much a whites only, Jesus-based Christianity only narrative as far as what they allow in the town. It's I'm not saying everyone in Idaho is like that. There are a lot of people like that, though. For goodness sakes, this is a state that had the Hetero Awesome Fest in Boise early this year during Pride Month to get the gay people, I guess. It ended up being a disaster, but it was also just really horrible and something that these clowns were really proud of that they put on out there. While live streaming the Hetero Awesome Fest and discussing the benefits of living in Boise, Idaho, David Riley, host of the self-described American Nationalist podcast, The Backlash, bragged that there aren't any black people here. Okay. On top of this, I was reminded when I posted this story this morning that they've lost literally like a third of their OBGYN providers. So there is a massive crisis with OBGYN care in Idaho because of their draconian Spanish Inquisition-like abortion laws. Doesn't the fact that minorities and non-Christians are not welcome in Idaho, doesn't that factor into this list? Because I would say, I hear it's got some really pretty scenery. And once again, I know there are some nice people there. Fine, good, all right. But you got a lot of hate in Idaho. And I guarantee you it's not a great state for some people. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Get your head right and hold it high.
Hi, Penny here from Nightingale in Minneapolis. Exciting news. During the warmer months, we're extending our charm to the patio. Imagine savoring your favorite dishes outside, surrounded by the lively energy of South Minneapolis near 26th and Lindale. And guess what? Nightingale's patio is not just a dining space. It's also dog-friendly. Craft cocktails, curated wines, and half-price bottles of wine on Mondays are still part of the deal. Open daily, 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with a full menu until midnight. Join us at Nightingale, where good times and great flavors come together.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Hey, this is Patrick for Zero Res. Did you know that August is Pet Appreciation Month? Zero Res is safe for all pets with no harsh soaps or chemicals in their cleaning products. If you have a pet like I do, you know they like to leave little bits of themselves around the house, whether that's fur or dander or worse, and you should call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to get things back in shape in your house. Carpet, tile, hardwood, rugs, upholstery, air ducts, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. If you haven't tried out Zero Res or it's been months since your last deep clean, then now is the time to call. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $149. Take 15% off pet odor treatments and 50% off an air duct cleaning. Schedule your appointment today at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 9520-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Obviously, one of the things we have to understand is, this whole thing with Putin in Alaska, the whole thing with taking over DC. These are all things Trump's desperately still trying to get Epstein off the front page. And don't let it get off the front page, kids. Transcripts of the secret grand jury testimony that led to the sex trafficking indictment of Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, shouldn't be released, a judge ordered Monday in a stinging decision suggesting that the Justice Department's real motive for wanting them unsealed was to fool the public with an illusion of transparency. That's interesting. Pretty harsh. Judge Paul Engelmeyer said in a written decision that federal law almost never allows for the release of grand jury materials and that making the documents public casually was a bad idea. And the judge also belittled the Justice Department's argument that releasing grand jury materials might reveal new information about Epstein and Maxwell's crimes, calling it a premise demonstrably false. So basically, it's a shell game right now. They don't want to release it. Now, reminder, they've got the information they could release. The Justice Department has the Epstein files. They could release them. They're not doing that because Trump. That's the crazy part is as they're trying to argue, we want to release the grand jury testimony. You have the information. And once again, the fact that they are basically trying desperately to get this off the front page, they're having top level cabinet officials have emergency meetings on language and verbiage and how do they divert the public from wanting to know more about this. It is an absolute calamity. And it's a calamity of Trump's making because, once again, Trump knew he was all over those lists. He knew it, and he decided to have a game of chicken with a mirror. And he's surprised that it's going the way it is. Now, I do think we need to take a moment here to understand the implications of these files and the obvious problem that basically is not being addressed, I think, as it needs to be. Although at the end of this whole thing, you'll understand, I think that you get my point, is that at the end of this, there's a difference between the Democrats and the Republicans on this. Vance the other day said, the Epstein files are all the Democratic politicians, Democratic billionaires, Democratic politicians, Democratic billionaires. And the first thing out of my mouth is, then why the hell are you keeping it quiet? You guys made up the whole Burisma stuff. You guys made up a scandal. If the only people listed on that list are Democratic politicians and Democratic millionaires and billionaires, well, then you would have quickly released that file and gone to town and destroyed them, which is your first sign that Trump. Trump is pedophile in chief. He's number one on that Epstein list. But that we need to make sure we put this in perspective. The Biden administration had this information too, and they did not release it either. there is a decent chance there is some Democratic politicians and Democratic business people on that list. I mean, I was talking to someone on Saturday. Prince Andrew clearly is on that list. You know, there are other people besides Trump on that list. And the fact that it wasn't released by the Democratic administrations leads me to believe that they themselves were trying to prevent the truth from coming on out for certain people. Now, there's a lot of people that speculate it's Bill Clinton. I don't know. But I will say this, and here is where the difference lies between a Democrat and a Republican. As a Democrat, as a decent human being, I don't care who's on that list. Release the names, arrest them, and charge them with a crime because they raped children. They raped children. They raped children at a compound that was designed to traffic girls in so they could be raped. Prosecute them. Absolutely. This is not... I get that there are some Democrats out there who's like, well, I don't want to think about it. But no, here's the difference. Right now, half the Republican Party is out there trying to argue that, you know what? Hey, my daughter is 14. She's got friends. I'd sleep with them right now. And you're like, oh my God. There are a stunning, 47%. 40% of Trump voters, 47% of Trump voters have said that him raping children is not a deal breaker. Think about that. I want you to step back. They are so upset with Democrats for trying to give people health care and trying to make sure wages go up, trying to make sure that education stays strong. Those things are so infuriating for Republicans because of right-wing brainwashing through the media, that they are sitting there, and as opposed to get cheaper health care, they would rather sit and say, I'm going to defend a man who is sleeping with children. I would rather stand by him. And this goes back to something I've been talking about, is that they know the entire time the Trump administration, the Republican Party, has known that Trump is a vile, horrible creature of a human being. He is a disgusting troll of a human. If you can, I'm hesitant to even say, but if you really even consider that man a human being, he is a disgusting troll. But what they did was babies drinking babies' blood in the basement of pizza parlors, or taking out the life force of a baby so they can live forever. I mean, have you heard the stupid things that Republicans believe Democrats are doing because right-wing narrative fantasy channels generate freaking constant content where they basically are just, and they're all lizard people. And these idiots believe this. These morons believe this because they want it to be true. They so desperately want to be on the right side of history as they snuggle up and spoon with the devil himself. And now here they are, 47% of them. And by the way, in the other 53, let's just be honest, maybe 20% of the Republican Party, maybe 20% of the Republican Party would be out on outrage and said, I'm done being a Republican. This is horrible. But the other 33% of the Republican Party would just stare at the ground and say nothing because they're too afraid to open their mouths. No, this is the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. I can honestly say, I don't care who it is. If they're on that list, prosecute them. If they were raping kids, prosecute them. 100%. And the Republicans are like, well, if it's a Democrat on it, prosecute him. But Donald Trump, back in the 1950s, girls were constantly having sex. You're like, wow, you guys are broken to the freaking core. They are so freaking broken. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
The Tom Hartman Show. Now, that's Smart Radio, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The Brave New Workshop is a Minneapolis tradition and the nation's longest-running comedy theater, finding ways to make people laugh about things that should make them cry for over 65 years. And who doesn't need a good laugh right now? Seriously, who doesn't need a laugh? Come see their fall show, Hippocalypse Now, a hilarious look at a world where what people say and what people do are completely unrelated. Playing now through November 1st at the Dudley Riggs Theater in Minneapolis. Tickets available at hennepinarts.org. That's hennepinarts.org.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Smoky sunshine today with a high of 84. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 69. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. I'm just going to basically give the credit to this because this is, absolutely 100% true. This is a guy named Tim Hannon. Donald Trump is going to deploy the National Guard into D.C. for no other reason than he's trying to make you forget he's Epstein's wingman. Absolutely. And that's, at the end of the day, we need to make sure that is reason number one why Donald Trump is doing what he is doing, is he wants you to desperately forget that he is the pedophile in chief. He clearly is. He clearly is. That whole story about the underage girl runway show that he had, where the only two people that were there were him and Epstein. Yikes. Come on. And for all you Republicans out there, it's like, well, if there was ever any proof, dude, there isn't a Democrat on the planet that if you didn't have 1/100th of the proof you already have against Trump in existence, you would be saying lock him up for life. You have to intentionally be trying to say, well, this isn't that bad. He raped kids. He raped kids. And he's now declared martial law and a military takeover of one of the largest cities in this country just to basically try to get the Epstein headline off the front page. Trump has ordered the National Guard into Washington, D.C. and seized control of the city's police force, describing a lawless city in ways that are sharply at odds with official crime statistics. Yeah. The U.S. president's move was swiftly condemned as disgusting, dangerous, and derogatory assault on the political independence of a racially diverse city. The federal takeover is expected to be in effect for 30 days, the White House confirmed to The Guardian. Speaking at the White House press conference on Monday, Trump said he was taking a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. He described D.C. as one of the most dangerous cities anywhere in the world, claiming its murder rate is higher than Bogota, Colombia, or Mexico City, even though violent crime is at a 30-year low. I mean, that's just a comically stupid statement. I mean, that is they're drinking blood from babies in the basement of a pizza parlor. That's that kind of stupid. And this is his entire narrative. This entire justification is, this would be like Trump shutting down every pizza place in the country because he told himself there are Democrats in the basements of pizza parlors drinking the blood of babies, and then he ran with it. Of course, this is about getting Epstein off the front page. The defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, who was among Trump officials joining Trump on the podium, said 800 National Guard troops would take to the streets of D.C. over the coming week. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. Trump, who lost the presidential election in D.C. to Democrat Kamala Harris by 86 points, added that he may send in the military if needed. Well, you dumb idiot. What do you think the National Guard is? By invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act, the president is federalizing D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department for the first time in history. He said he was declaring. Think about that. They didn't do this during the Civil War. And here is Trump. He was declaring a public safety emergency, putting the police under control at the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Because Lord knows, as you're the Attorney General of the United States, you've got tons of hours each day to run the day-to-day affairs of a police department in D.C. Yeah. Trump vowed to allow police to do whatever the hell they want in the face of provocations. That's the only language the alleged criminals understand. They like to spit in the face of police. You spit, we hit, and they hit really hard. Police brutality. This is now official policy of the Trump administration. I will say this. There are numerous Republicans, not fringe guys, Republicans who have argued that not only that, but maybe there should be some even harsher public punishments happening, ranging from a public beating in the town square to one person actually saying, if you actually executed one person in public, a summary execution, you would take care of crime overnight in D.C. It's beginning to look a lot like Deutschland. Yeah, this is disturbing. This is so freaking disturbing. And folks, I think what you should be looking at as this is not a one-off. So what I think is going on here, and I'll get back to the story here in a second, but what I think is going on is they tried this in LA and realized that doing this, I think their entire goal is to basically put militarized police, allow police brutality as legal argument in every major metropolitan area, mainly to stop people from voting next election because, once again, he's terrified of losing and being impeached again. So this is, I think the entire end game is to fix the system where you put the police in, limit the amount of polling places, have police yanking people out of voting lines, stuff like that, And white guy, well, you can vote, but hey, you're not so white. You're out of line. Don't get uppity. Club them, drag them back away, and put them in a cell. That's what I think is really going on. How do you get to that point was the question of the day. And on one side, they tried this in LA, and they tried it with the ICE raids out there, and they sent in the troops, and the troops were ungodly outnumbered and just so ill prepared for what they were being asked to do. Which, basically we're there to protect ICE. And and it should be also noted that they portrayed the trouble they were under in a far harsher light than it actually was. They've had court case after court case after court case in Los Angeles where ICE has brought charges against people protesting and said they did all these things, and then all of a sudden video shows, oh no, they didn't do any of these things, and ICE walks in there and says, oh, we're dropping all the charges. To which even judges are like, wait a second, you don't do grand juries and bring charges like this if you just are going to drop them, but they know they've been caught. And these officers openly lied on their reports. So Los Angeles really fell apart for them. And I brought up when they were starting to occupy LA, trying to occupy at least the 7 square blocks of LA, and they horribly mishandled that. I said, the problem that they have is you do not have enough military to really do this on a large scale across the country. I mean, you have basically, it was 1.2 million active duty military people in the country. It will take 200,000 people to hold Los Angeles, and probably 200,000 people to hold New York City alone. To hold all the major metro areas of the country, you would need to pull back every military person everywhere, every post overseas, every ship the Navy is sailing, every military person would have to come back to the United States and be deployed in these cities. It's just, it didn't work. And I think they saw that. So now here's phase 2. Phase 2 is, well, we can literally take over DC. We desperately need to get the Epstein thing off the front page, but we still have to try to figure out how to do this. And so let's lie about the crime rates, send in the troops, and use it as a petri dish to figure out how in the world we, with the amount of military we have, can hold a major city. And notice one of the first things they did this time is basically deputize, take control of the police force. Now, they're not going to be able to do that cleanly in other places. They can do this in DC because of the nature of what DC is. But you're not going to be able to do this in other places. But this is, like I said, this is a little petri dish to see how they're going to do it. And so he's now told the police, who is now under control of the executive branch, beat the population. Section 740. Boy, doesn't that sound like Palpatine? Unleash Section 740. It does. Section 740 requires the Mayor, Muriel Bowser, to provide such services, Metropolitan Police Force, as the president may deem necessary and appropriate when the president determines that there are special conditions requiring it. The president can only exercise such control under the act for 30 days without Congress passing a law extending it. After the former General Services Administration staffer Edward Corstein, a 19-year-old on the so-called Department of Government Efficiency team nicknamed Big Balls, appeared to be attacked by a group of young people last week near his car, Trump began discussing the return of federal court control of the city and the National Guard to quell the street crime. Now, as far as Edward here, are you sure he wasn't beaten up because he's just an absolute douche nozzle of a human being? I mean, that would be my, guess A. DC was hit hard by the fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic, recording more homicides in 2023 than in any year since 1997. At that time, it was among the top 5 homicide rates in the major population centers, those with more than 1 million residents, behind only Memphis, St. Louis, Baltimore, and in Baltimore and Maryland. Violent crime in D.C. has fallen sharply, though, since 2023, shaking off the pandemic. Increases to reach a near 30-year low on the day Trump took office, and has fallen 26% further this year, according to weekly reports from the Metro Police Department. So it's not crime. And sorry that your Doge douche over there got beaten up. It's unfortunate. But like I said, the crime in D.C. is a lot less. The change in crime rate is consistent with dramatic decreases in violences in large cities across the country. The capital is much safer than it used to be. In 1991, it was branded the murder capital of the U.S. with a killing of 482 people. But last year, the total number of homicides had fallen to 187. This year was right on course to be much lower than that. Nonetheless, Trump has ordered a range of federal law enforcement agencies to deploy to the D.C. streets over the weekend in a surge. About 400. Good. Hey, I hope you didn't have a summer vacation planned to D.C. because I guarantee you that is going to be a nightmare. As a matter of fact, I can just say this. If I was going to go to D.C. to try to see some of the sights with my kids over the summer holiday, and this happened, I would just pack the kids in the car, probably go on out to the Maryland coast, and just say the heck with this. About 450 officers from the United States Capitol Police, Federal Protection Service, the Bureau of ATF and Explosives, and the agencies were present in the city's quadrants over the weekend. At the press conference on Monday morning, Trump painted a nightmarish portrait of a city overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals. Yeah, they're called the Republicans. I'm sorry. I thought this was just another thing of projection, because that's all you freaking nutbags do is project. No, apparently he's been talking about the made-up ghost gangs that are running the city. Roving mobs of wild youth, drugged-out maniacs, and homeless people. The D.C. Attorney General, Jeanine Pirro, idiot, drunk idiot, too. Former Fox News host only confirmed her role on August 2nd, said she saw too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the heck out of anyone or anyone else. Once again, your Doge dude might have been beaten because he was a jerk. I'm just saying that. She expressed her frustration, which was she views as excessive leniency when it comes to the way juveniles are prosecuted. You can't arrest them. You can't prosecute them. All right. So I'm going to repeat to DC and anyone that's in DC. I want to make sure you do this. Every one of us has one of these glowing rectangles. Find out how you go live with it. And if you're out there, start shooting, because the only way, what blew up their entire plans in Los Angeles was video evidence saying that the federal government was lying their butts off about what was going on. And trust me, future court cases are going to want to see your video footage. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Summer is going fast, but Next Chapter Booksellers has everything you need to keep up with your summer reading. From the hottest new titles to timeless classics, Next Chapter Booksellers has something for any taste. Their friendly staff are great at making recommendations for the perfect summer read for you or your loved ones. Plus, Next Chapter Booksellers has a wide variety of puzzles and games for those rainy days. So keep up with your summer reading at Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call, because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our local leaders. How do you reward your employees? How do you appreciate your business partners? Thousands of local organizations just like yours count on Minuteman Uptown for promotional products. We craft custom awards and plaques. We print your logo on apparel, office supplies, and thousands of other items. Minuteman Uptown helps you reward employees and stay top of mind with customers and vendors. We print everything. Contact us today at mpuptown.com.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Jimmy texting me here on Blue Sky. You can find us, by the way. Most of the shows here are on Blue Sky. It's my primary right now. Matt McNeil Show on Blue Sky, AM 950 Radio on Blue Sky. I know that as well. WCPT is up there. Patty Vasquez is up there. So you can find us on Blue Sky. Go check us out there. We ain't going to forget what he's done, Matt. I hope not. And as a matter of fact, we have to understand how crazy this world is right now, and how that we are fighting a really weird battle. That Trump just moved the Obama portrait in the White House. This is just a minor story, but under Joe Biden, it would be Joe Biden disrespects Donald Trump if he would have done the same thing, which he didn't. But I want you to imagine the outrage, the fury, the spittle flying from beet red faces of Republicans going, "How dare you violate this?" It would be front page news on every major newspaper, not just the right-wing ones, but the freaking hack bought and paid for by the Republican Party ones as well. The New York Times, the Washington Post, who's probably cheering on this overtake of their government in D.C. All of them. Just they would all be running with, "How dare you?" Trump does it. It's like, well, he has the right to redecorate. And you see, this is where we are at. I mean, we're at a point where the Republicans have done so many bad things that there's no defense for them anymore, although a lot of people are trying to make way for it. I'll give you a great example. In California, Representative Doug LaMalfa faced jeers and heckling in a town hall event over his support of Trump and the One Big Beautiful Bill. Malaffa began the event Monday by noting that one member of the audience had insulted President Donald Trump by calling him the Big Orange Man. that the man that just voted to basically take away health care from people in his state and kill probably a few thousand Californians. That someone calling him the Big Orange Man, that's disrespectful. And how many right-wing news outlets will not report on the fact that this guy is cutting Medicaid, Medicare, cutting food aid to the hungry, killing people with his votes, but will say, he's got a point, the minute we lose decency. The same guy who basically is ignoring the fact that we have armed, militarized police forces roaming the streets of the United States, clubbing people, beating people, destroying property with a smile on their face, and dragging people to concentration camps in this country. But that's not a problem. Somebody using less than kind languages. That they're taking over D.C. and promising to beat the people of D.C. to put them under Trump's authoritarian might. That's not a problem, but your sarcasm needs to get a check mark, okay? This is where we're at in this world. And that is why we just have to basically destroy them with their own record. That, let's just say the next Democratic president, if we even have one, moves a Trump portrait just to a different place in the White House. And somebody comes up and says, how dare you do this? The first thing is like, you guys never said anything when Trump did it to Obama. And they basically, he took his out of sight. Well, but we were upset about it at the time. No, you weren't. You didn't say anything about it at the time. But now all of a sudden a Democrat does the same thing and you're outraged. You're the one with the problem. If you didn't have a problem with it under Donald Trump, then tell me how you have the audacity to come after me. And you have to start hitting these guys as hard as you can, not physically, but with the truth. That you have to start basically rubbing their face in the mess that they have created. When a politician says, oh, you're using bad language, you know what? At least I don't support dictatorships. I'm not the one out there defending the child rapist and insisting this is no big deal, and who hasn't wanted to have sex with a teenager as an argument to defend Trump, the grotesque orange creature that is currently inhabiting the White House. We have a serious problem with this double standard that we have allowed to exist. And the first thing out of everyone's mouth should not be well, let me try to explain my position, but just saying, wait a second here. You guys, Donald Trump took away health care from millions of people, and at no point did you ever even raise an eyebrow. And you want me, you're now all of a sudden upset because I'm proposing raising the tax rate on billionaires to the same rate everyone else is and talk about how I'm out of control. This comes from a point where I've run into a lot of conservatives lately who all they want to talk about is the mayor candidate of New York or the mayor candidate of Minneapolis, these candidates that are out there that are technically democratic socialists. And they sit there like, I can't believe they're turning to socialism. Well, I can, because not only has the Republicans pretty much abandoned all major metro areas in the country, hence why Trump has to start figuring out a way to take over them over with military so that they can basically negate all their votes or something of that nature. But on top of that, even the Democrats are afraid to basically acknowledge that they're not caring about what's going on in the inner cities right now. They're not caring about the out of control rents and the grocery store deserts in some of our inner communities, the lack of good transportation or quality, quality parks and quality of life and jobs, for God's sakes. No, there's too many people in the Democratic Party that look at the inner cities and say, well, who else are you going to vote for? Well, they're finding somebody else to vote for. And now all of a sudden you guys are acting, oh, wait a second here. We have to challenge this. This system has been created by injustice. And if we don't go on out there and start throwing it back in their faces as hard as you can, said, don't you dare question me when you tolerated all this stuff. This is what we need to do. Hope we can do it. Chicago, Seattle. Talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Overwhelmed trying to make sense of Medicare? As a licensed advisor, I can help you determine your healthcare needs and evaluate your options. I'm Harvey Pearl of Pearl & Company, and I want you to have the peace of mind knowing you have the best coverage available. You deserve an advocate you can trust and coverage you can rely on. And there's no fee, ever. Annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. Call me now at 651-303-8889 so we can strategize together.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. President Trump is invoking Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act to take over control of the city's police department. The law would allow him to take over the police for more than 48 hours. But if he wants to continue for more than 30 days, both the House and Senate would need to give him a vote of approval. AP Washington Sagar Magani reports on reactions to the president's decision.
Some Washingtonians are blasting President Trump's move to put the Capitol's police under federal control and activate the National Guard.
We're going to take our Capitol back.
Even as the president was speaking at the White House,
Hands off DC!
Kelsey Adams and Free DC, a group aimed at protecting the district's home rule, rallied steps away as the president blasted the Capitol's violent crime rate.
The facts, they just don't match his lies.
We're at a 30-year violent crime low.
Mayor Muriel Bowser on WJLA.
While this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
In Pittsburgh, one worker is still missing after explosions at a U.S. steel plant. One person is reported dead and at least 10 others injured. The incident took place at the Clairton Coke Works and is considered the largest coking operation in North America. Police in Austin, Texas say 2 people were killed in a shooting at a Target store today. A suspect has been detained. Austin Travis County Emergency Services posted on X that it assisted 4 patients but provided no details. In other news, AOL's dial-up internet will officially bid farewell on September 30th. AOL was formerly America Online and introduced many households to the World Wide Web decades ago. This is AP News.
Lowe's knows when you're looking for reliability, the right brand makes all the difference. And now, Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retailer for the Whirlpool water treatment line, including their Wi-Fi softener, under-sink filtration system, and more. With Whirlpool's proven performance and our everyday low prices, better tasting, better quality water is within reach. Shop pro-trusted brands like Whirlpool and more, in-store or online. Lowe's, we help, you save.
The cost of mesothelioma treatments can exceed $400,000, and families often face losing their homes and life savings just to pay the bill. The Rights and Claims Department of Flint Cooper has helped victims secure financial support they need to pay for their care and ensure their family's future. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma and don't have legal representation, call Flint Cooper now at 800-606-8169. Time is running out for you to file a claim, so don't wait. Call 800-606-8169 for a free
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting around a fire is the oldest, most basic form of human activity.
What's new is in the way fire is burned. We can show you how to burn cleaner with a lot less smoke.
The radiant heat and light from an open fire is unmatched. It kindles our spirits and connects us to the outdoors. And now it's easier to experience and enjoy.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs wood and gas burning fire pits and fireplaces. Let us help you experience an outdoor fire without all the smoke.
Come see the many ways you can enjoy a fire outdoors.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Smoky sunshine today with a high of 84. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 69. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Monday. Matt and Patrick. Hey, I got something good for you. Hypocalypse Now is going to be the brand new show opening up at Brave New Workshop. Hypocalypse Now. There you go. If you've not been to Brave New Workshop, the last time I was at Brave New Workshop, when they did the finale, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. It is brilliant. Our comedy show here in town, and it is fantastic. This is opening up here, I believe, coming up in the next week. This week later on. This whole week, I've got tickets to give away. So listen for your chance this hour to win tickets to this at Brave New Workshop. Hypocalypse Now. Hypocalypse Now is the new show. So listen for your chance to win coming up here a little bit later on. Patrick, who is this? Well, first of all, you were in Iowa a lot. Did you? We talked about the Vikes game with Broadcorp on Friday, and it was a preseason game. No, I mean, it was more interested in the interviews on the sidelines than anything else.
Yeah, there really wasn't anything notable that happened in that game. I missed the first quarter. I had the other 3 on the radio, and I'm like, they're just kind of playing this because they have to play it.
Well, it was who is the kid from Minnesota, the quarterback? Brosmer. He had the touchdown. And there's a lot of people that are actually kind of speculating, wondering if he's going to be the third string quarterback for the team now, because, they're obviously, it looks like the guy that they had that threw after JJ McCarthy. He looked pretty good. But, there's that third spot's open and they're wondering if he'll make it. And I mean, he did get a pretty good cheer when he threw that touchdown on Saturday.
Yeah, let's just hold our horses a little bit on what's going to happen with that. But yeah, I mean, impressive for sure.
The other thing that happened, who is this kid? And I say kid because I'm 56. Who is this kid for the Twins that spent 7 years in the minors, had his first major league at bat, and he hits a home run for the Twinkie Cakes? Who is that guy?
I might have missed this.
Oh, this is some guy yesterday. It wasn't the game-winning one. That was
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald, yeah. Fitzgerald hits. He comes up. He basically played like international, like a kind of a kind of an unaffiliated team. Then played the minors for 7 years. Gets a chance with the Twins, and this first at bat, he hits a home run. Good for him. Yeah, it's. You deserve to be at the major leagues. You can hit a home run in Major League Baseball. You deserve to be in the major leagues. Congratulations there. The Twins are at the New York Yankees tonight, and surprise, all of a sudden, Byron Buxton's available to play. Now that they're in the New York market and they're going to get the New York market visibility, suddenly he's not injured anymore, and he's in the lineup as starter.
And it's a national TV broadcast tonight.
Of course it is. What? Okay, you tell me. I mean, because my guess is after this New York series, Buxton will shut it down for the rest of the year. What do you think? I think he will.
Yeah, you could be right. We'll see.
I'm dead serious. I kind of half expect that he'll play the New York series because he wants the visibility of playing in New York. And then before they come home and play Detroit, I believe, are they at Detroit? They're at Detroit, aren't they?
No, it's 4 at home with Detroit.
4 at home with Detroit. He comes home. He's going to say, "Oh, he's got soreness," and he's going to be on the injured reserve for the rest of the year. And he'll just check out. That's going to be my guess. Yeah, I found it just so frustrating with this team. Oh, hey, we're playing in New York. Hey, Byron Buxton's back. Hey, great. Trouble up in St. Anthony. The police are looking for a man who fired a gun inside a Cub Foods in St. Anthony. That's not good. What's not good is, this guy, okay. Officers arrived at the grocery store at 3930 Silver Lake Road just before midnight on Sunday on a report of shots fired, but no known injuries. Witnesses told police that a customer confronted 2 other customers whom he believed were trying to shoplift. When an argument ensued near the entryway, the male suspect took out a gun, pointed it at the victim, and then fired a shot at the ceiling, according to the St. Anthony Police Department. Then the man ran away. I gotta run away. I don't want to be facing the consequences of my action because I'm a little baby man. I'm a little baby man. You pathetic loser. He fled north on foot. He has not been located as they're trying to find him. Apparently, police described the suspect as a white male with facial hair, and bad facial hair too, in his 30s, about 6 feet tall, roughly 180 pounds. He was accompanied by a woman who's described as either Indian or Middle Eastern, between 25 and 30-year-olds, and around 5'3". The pair had a small husky-like dog on a leash. Anyone with information is asked to contact the St. Anthony Police Department about this guy. Because once again, here you have responsible gun ownership as defined by the Republican Party of Minnesota. Pulling out a gun because you're accusing somebody who, by the sounds of it, wasn't trying to shoplift anything, of shoplifting. So I'm going to guess racially profiling somebody. And then basically firing a round into the roof because you're a tough guy. And then you ran away. Ooh. Yeah, without a doubt in my mind, this is a Trump voter. Without a doubt in my mind, this is Trump's America right here. Just pathetic, impotent losers basically trying to find some sort of value in life. So all of a sudden he's going to deputize himself as the new sheriff in town. And look, there's those people, they're always shoplifting. So I'm going to confront them and be the hero. And they weren't. Fire my gun. Bang, run away.
I was going to say, who wants to bet that's not his normal Cub Foods, the shooters?
I don't know. He's just a loser. Dear Lord. 952-946-6205. So the next story is actually a big story. But it's a big story, and Star Tribune covered this today. But it's a story that you have to understand the history of the city of Minneapolis to really kind of appreciate. And so I'm going to paraphrase this. And yes, history pros, I'll probably screw up one or two things. Okay. I'm going to get most of it here. You'll get the gist of this. So waterfalls in the 1800s were power. That was it. Waterfalls were power. It had a waterfall on a river. I mean, that's basically how you got power outside of burning stuff, whether that was coal or wood or whatever. You had basically two ways of creating power: fire or water. And that was it. We didn't have really electrical plants or anything like that. And even then, we didn't have any lights or anything of that nature. What you got was anytime you had a waterfall, there was always a desire by business to get in there and develop the waterfall into a power source. Now, if you've never been to the Mill City Museum, I highly encourage you to see this because it does basically go through a lot of this history. And there used to be a canal underneath the street that ran from above the falls this is on the downtown Minneapolis side of the river. And it would come into the water would come into these buildings and it would fall. They'd have open holes in the ground and fall, and it would turn a turbine. And that's how they generated power. And that's how we became the flour milling capital of the world for a while there before Buffalo, New York basically did the same thing with Niagara Falls, and they generated the power there. So you have this simple system where water is taken above the waterfall. It's run at an angle which still gives you plenty of momentum and power, runs through some turbines, powers these buildings, and there you go. As you can imagine, there's only a certain amount of riverfront that this works on, that you have really in the city of Minneapolis, about a 5-block swath on either side of the river where you can get high enough elevation of the water coming down to where basically it drops enough to where you could power this off. But it didn't stop people from trying to build their own channels And I can't remember the year, but I was out on Nicollet Island. Some idiots, basically without a license or anything, were trying to dig their own channel for own water. And here's where the geology comes in. So the riverbed of Minneapolis is limestone on top of sandstone. If you've ever gone down the river, and if you go down to Minnehaha Falls and you hike out to the Mississippi River there, from Minnehaha Falls, you'll see these large pieces of limestone that are on the shoreline. As a matter of fact, for a long time, those lime pieces prevented any boats from coming upriver to Minneapolis. That basically the river traffic ended at St. Paul, and you would have to take a train or something over to Minneapolis until they sent, I don't know if it was the Army Corps of Engineers or whoever, to clear out those big limestone tablets and get them out of the way. And you can then get up to through the lock system, you could get up to Minneapolis. The limestone is a hard rock. The reason why those big chunks of rock are still there is because they don't dissolve pretty easily. Sandstone, which is underneath the limestone, is a completely different story. It actually erodes back. And if you go to the Science Museum of Minnesota, up on the top floor there in the back, they actually show that St. Anthony Falls at one point was down by where Pike Island is, right by 35E, the bridge, 35E bridge over the Mississippi River. And over 10,000 years, it gradually eroded itself back to where kind of it is today. The limestone ends, I think it's around Lowry Avenue, so just north of downtown Minneapolis. And if the limestone disappears, then we don't have a waterfalls, we have a rapids. That the waterfall would cease to exist, and you would lose pretty much most of the power of the river at that point. So these knuckleheads going out to Nicollet Island back in the 1850s or 60s or 70s, or maybe early 70s, 1870s, they start trying to build their own, and things start collapsing, and things start falling backwards, and things start going really sideways really fast. And apparently they threw everything they could, anything. There's a piano down there. There's any wood, lumber. They threw anything down there to try to basically stop what was happening, which was the water was rushing in above the falls and eroding the sandstone underneath it. And there was a legit chance they were going to lose St. Anthony Falls. So there, obviously, enough was enough. They came up with the idea that they had to put the apron on the waterfall and the walls and basically regulate St. Anthony Falls a lot better than it had been in the past through engineering to preserve the falls, to make sure that what was powering the city stayed there and powered the city. And in truly what is one of the greatest feats of engineering I've ever even heard of, with horses and shovels and boxes of rocks, they stopped the Mississippi River, diverted it around, and basically were able to build the apron and walls and all these things that they needed to do. Pretty damn remarkable, if you ask me. That's somebody that's got a college degree, I'm going to guess. That's beyond my ability. And to all the workers who went out there and did that insane task, I mean, that is incredible. And just to see the difference, I once again go to the Minnesota Historical Society. There's a lot of places. They do have some of the pictures. You can find the old pictures of what St. Anthony Falls used to look like. And it used to be a very different waterfall than what it looks like today. It has, a very abrupt, jarred lip to it. It's kind of like Nearstead Falls. If you go down to Nearstead State Park, it's a little bit like that one, where it's just kind of a cliff and it falls off. It's not like this lovely little swoosh that does down on the apron now. So there you go. There's the history. Because greed was ruling the day, they almost destroyed the waterfall. So they had to put in some engineering and some mechanisms to save the waterfall from collapsing and becoming just a rapids, which would have lost Minneapolis pretty much most of its power. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, apparently there's a piece of that machine, that whole project, that hasn't been replaced since the original people put it down 100+ years ago. And this is going to be a bit of a problem. We'll talk about that when we do come back. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Monday.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org. Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Attention event planners and festival organizers. This is Frank Brown from Minuteman Press Uptown, your union print shop partner for your next event. We're here to check items off your list and make your event the talk of the town. From stunning banners and eye-catching signage to programs, tickets, and name badges, we print everything. Get promotional products at prices that let you load up on merch and fill those swag bags. Make your event unforgettable with Minuteman Uptown. Visit us at mpuptown.com.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblot. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblot from Shamblot Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Hey, this is Patrick for Zero Res. Did you know that August is Pet Appreciation Month? Zero Res is safe for all pets with no harsh soaps or chemicals in their cleaning products. If you have a pet like I do, you know they like to leave little bits of themselves around the house, whether that's fur or dander or worse, and you should call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to get things back in shape in your house. Carpet, tile, hardwood, rugs, upholstery, air ducts, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. If you haven't tried out Zero Res or it's been months since your last deep clean, then now is the time to call. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $149. Take 15% off pet odor treatments and 50% off an air duct cleaning. Schedule your appointment today at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 9520-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, Bill Corbett's going to join us tomorrow. Nice. We're going for Riff Track, so they got a show coming up here. Plus, we get to talk politics. Also, we'll have Cooligan in the 4 o'clock hour tomorrow. So, I don't know. Are we having Cooligan? He's been on vacation, so we might not have him tomorrow. We'll have somebody who's smart talking to us because we're dum-dums. Thanks, Patrick.
Well, I'm kind of lumping myself in that one as well.
Well, it's we know our place on society's ladder, don't we? All right, so we just went through the whole thing of the history, why you had to build the apron, why it had to be there, and why the geology and the history of Minneapolis nearly killed St. Anthony Falls. All right, and we should do everything we can to keep this. I had Schechter out here. Cliff Schechter came into town, and I sent him down, do the Stone Arch Bridge, walk through that. That was last year. And he walked through. He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that's so nice." And I said, "Yeah, exactly." Here's the Star Tribune story. Scientists are in the middle of inspecting for the first time in decades. What? Uh-oh. I understand it's not easy to get to, but okay. An unseen but critical piece of infrastructure holding up St. Anthony Falls in downtown Minneapolis. But as that project nears completion, the federal government and the state of Minnesota have exchanged the first volley of disavowals, each saying the neglected cutoff wall beneath the falls isn't there. And neither is the cost of any repairs that might arise from the inspection. That 150-year-old wall has literally kept St. Anthony Falls from disintegrating, where it to fall, the resulting flood would be disastrous. This summer, the Army Corps of Engineers released a draft proposition study for the Upper St. Anthony Lock and Dam, which the feds have been trying to unload ever since the lock closed to barge traffic a decade ago as part of the effort to stop the spread of invasive carp. Is there a market really for a lock system? I don't know. That's a fixer-upper, I guess. No one, by the way, has taken up the Corps' offer to assume responsibility for the whole lock and dam. Yeah, a surprise. Buried in that study was a declaration that the cutoff wall that has been rankling Minnesota environmental organizations and the Department of Natural Resources. USACE constructed a cutoff wall in the channel of the upper Mississippi River between 1874 and 1876. So I believe that incident on Nicollet Island that nearly basically destroyed St. Anthony Falls, I think that was in the early 1870s. And that's why this then happened right after that. This between 1874 and 1876 to destabilize the upper St. Anthony waterfall, according to the federal study, the channel remains the property of the state of Minnesota. Therefore, any maintenance of the cutoff wall is subject to state appropriations. Colleen O'Connor Toberman, Land Use and Planning Program Director of the Friends of the Mississippi River, said she was taken aback by the Corps' assertion that the wall was Minnesota's headache just because they built it in state waters. Wait, where's your proof? Can you say that the sentence and assume everyone's going to just go by that? O'Connor Toberman said the DNR's official response conveying the state's surprise before unequivocally denying ownership of said wall. USACE cannot legally construct a navigational project and then unilaterally decide that the state is ongoing responsibility for that project, wrote DNR Assistant Commissioner Jess Richards. He argued it wasn't until 1925 that Minnesota created state agencies to actively engage in regulating public waters, so the state couldn't have authorized the cutoff except by special legislation, and there's no evidence of that. So yeah, this was a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers project. The U.S. government did this. Now they're looking at the price tag of fixing it or maintaining it, and they're saying, it's on you. Well, I guess they're seeing if someone wants to buy it outright, you can live in the Sioux Lock, and then who doesn't love a dam? Oh, yeah, it's all yours. The orphaned piece of infrastructure, I don't think it's orphaned. I think it's just got a bad parent. The orphaned piece of infrastructure, as legislators have called the cutoff wall, was built by the Army Corps of Engineers in 1875 as part of the emergency efforts to stop the total collapse of the only waterfall in the Mississippi. The cutoff wall is made of concrete. It is over 1,800 feet long and ranges from 4 to 6.5 feet thick. God, man, they built things to last back then. That is in the river. That is in the freaking river, and it still is standing. That's incredible. It starts under the riverbed and extends down into the highly erodible sandstone in about 40 feet, just upstream from the crest of the falls above the Stone Arch Bridge. In the 19th century, the milling district central to Minnesota's creation and story nearly destroyed the falls. Private power companies blasted myriad tunnels into the falls limestone banks to harness its hydropower for milling, and the botched construction of one of those tunnels triggered sudden and rapid erosion. The wall was dramatic intervention built to stabilize the waterfall, and, as advertised. Over time, the cutoff wall fell into obscurity. The Corps... I just read Cold Storage. I just read the books Cold Storage. This sounds a lot like it. Do you guys have a virus down there? It's a good book. I go read Cold Storage. It's not a bad read. And it's got a movie coming out with Liam Neeson in it. So the Corps claims that it was never inventoried as government property and no known maintenance had been done since it was built. No one has maintained this thing for 150 years and it still stands. Wow. And no known maintenance has been done since it was built. This makes it unique among other structures that kept St. Anthony Falls in place, including the dam spillway, which is regularly inspected. The cutoff wall helps maintain the Minneapolis water supply. If it failed, river levels would drop too low for the city to take in water, said Representative Sidney Jordan, the DFLer from Minneapolis, who carried the bill approved in 2023 to allocate $750,000 to the University of Minnesota to study condition of said wall. Minneapolis provides water to over a dozen cities, including hospitals and the international airport. It maintains a 3-day drinking water reserve, and the city spokesperson said, the idea that I bet that's delicious. Oh, give me some of that 3-day-old stuff. Yum. It's warm. The idea is, we are literally just held together by sticks and bubble gum and prayers, aren't we? Our entire society is like, well, if the wind changes direction, we're all doomed, but we got 3 days of water. All right, thanks. The idea this is an orphan project, everyone's going to say it's not mine, so we're just going to ignore it, leaves the state in tremendous risk, says Jenny Cleavehorn, the DFLer from Plymouth, in a 2023 committee hearing. Republicans ultimately supported the study as well, but were concerned funding that the inspection might take the state appear to be assuming responsibility in the repairs that came from it. We can't do this on our own if we don't actually understand who owns it, said Jim Nash, Waconey at the time. We could assess the problem, but if we're not on our own able to fix the problem, then I just feel like state shouldn't have to pay. If no other outside force acts on it, we're going to have to come back and say, well, we have to do it because we paid for the study. No, I think we're going to have to do it so we don't run out of water in the city of Minneapolis. Now, first of all, let's just go back to that whole argument. This is an Army Corps of Engineers project. So this is a federal government piece of infrastructure. Them saying, not it. Now it's kind of stupid because they never at any point officially handed it over, nor did the state of Minnesota ever accept it as officially theirs. So this is clearly a U.S. government project. This is their thing. It never was given to Minnesota. They built it themselves before Minnesota even had any organization that could even try to achieve this. And so, no, this is a federal government thing. That should be your first thing. And once again, Nash, just once again, the problem is that you could run out of water for major cities. And you just kind of shrugging your shoulders going, whatever. I mean, that's not good. If St. Anthony Falls failed, it would be a downtown Minneapolis catastrophe on par with Mankato's Rapidan Dam failure. University. And by the way, how many Republicans have gone down there saying, we need to fix this immediately, as we should? Not because we want to sit there and try to take control over it from the federal government, but because it needs to be fixed. And here is where I have a problem with any Republican coming up saying, I don't know about this. If it was in your damn district, you would be screaming about the benefits of this needed project to get done regardless of cost. And that's the truth. There's not a single one of you guys that would be out there saying, well, I don't know. I don't think my constituents need drinking water. We got 3-day-old water. It's delicious. Let me take a break. I'll come on back. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll talk more about this when we come back. And a little bit of a warning story. Another story that came up that really kind of is on point here. It is the Matt McNeil Show on your Monday.
Are you ready, boy?
The place for live music is the Park Tavern. Live music takes over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio. Head over on Tuesday, August 12th, it's Colby Straka. Wednesday, August 13th, it's Bryce Heggie. And on Thursday, August 14th, it's American Bootleg. Music runs from 5:30 to 8 p.m. and reservations for groups of 8 or more are recommended. And the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, outdoor live music is on at the Park Tavern.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Market Fresh Minnesota is your to-go destination for fresh vegetables, quality meats, seafood, and a wide variety of grocery staples. Locally owned and operated, Market Fresh Minnesota brings together the best of Asian foods in one welcoming store that is also kind to the pocketbook. Discover Market Fresh, your local Asian food store, just south of Rosedale on 1800 County Road 36.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 69, then Tuesday sunshine with a high of 82. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. A Brave New Workshop's got their brand new show coming in later this week. Hypocalypse Now is the new show. I've got a pair of tickets for you to go see it. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. You want a pair of tickets to go to the Brave New Workshop? You will laugh. It is very funny. 952-946-6205. Caller number 5. Caller number 5, you are going to win those tickets, so good luck. Come talk to Patrick. 952-946-6205 for a pair of tickets to Brave New Workshop. 952-946-6205. All right, back to the story about the research here, because last year the inspection team started researching historical records on the wall and launched a geophysical investigation using a ground penetrating radar device to keep the wall without physically seeing, or without to survey the wall without physically seeing it. However, spring flooding kept the water level so high that the team had to pause their work and request a 1-year extension from the legislature. Field work was not resumed this summer, confirmed Bridget Mendel, a spokesperson for the St. Anthony Falls Laboratory. They continue to have the meetings with the projects team and continue to plan for future steps, but there hasn't been any physical work happening out there. It's slow going since we have that extension. I think his work is on schedule. The inspection report is due by the legislature by July 1st of 2026. The scientist plans to eventually build a scale model of St. Anthony Falls to simulate what would happen if critical infrastructure at the site failed. Their findings would inform Hennepin County Emergency Management's creation of a risk assessment team. Which roads, bridges, pipelines, water intakes, and other infrastructure would be impacted by cutting erosion upstream, said Eric Wagi, director of the Emergency Management of Hennepin County. Asked if the potential consequences of the falls fail, we need a detailed map of what is left of the limestone caprock and what kinds of damage it has sustained since the industrial era. Yeah, I mean, okay. Part of this is that. And I'll give the city of Minneapolis a little bit of a mulligan here, because they didn't even have 50 years before they had any organizations that could even begin to address this issue. But it wasn't until recently that you didn't have the technology to be able to inspect this. But there's a reason why this was included in a bill. I mean, clearly people at the University of Minnesota were like, you guys need to go down and check this. To a point, it's almost hard to to believe that this is, first of all, it's hard to even comprehend that wall is still standing after 150 years. It's under the Mississippi River. It's under insane amounts of pressure. I mean, how many large logs, you gone down to the river? How many large logs have slammed into that damn thing? That is Army Corps of Engineers. When they build something, they build it to last, but 150 years, now you're starting to get there. I didn't realize where this wall was. They have it listed on the story, and you can go see that. I'll post the story and you can go see that there. But it's literally right where the lip of the falls is. And then it runs all the way across, all the way over to St. Anthony, Maine on the other side. Yeah, you gotta check that. I mean, it's kind of like, your fire detector. You check that. That thing starts chirping every 2 years. Is anyone seeing it? The wall is chirping. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Yeah, it's chirping. I'm glad we're taking this seriously. But it is sometimes mind-boggling how truly fragile we all are. And that we build this, we got this apron and we can put the pipes into the river and we got all of our drinking water and all this is good. Industry, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden it becomes fairly apparent, well, we don't know how safe it really is. And once again, if you're missing the headline, if that waterfall fails, well, then you're looking at, you're going to have to figure out some way to get the water out of the Mississippi River into the drinking water system alone. Fire hydrants, everything. I mean, that's a mess. I'm just going to go back to the very beginning of this story, which was, I think, the important element of it, which is this is the DNR Assistant Commissioner Jess Richards. USAC cannot legally construct a navigational project and then unilaterally decide that the state has the ongoing responsibility for that project. He argued it wasn't until 1925 that Minnesota created state agencies to actively engage in regulating public waters, so the state couldn't have authorized the cutoff wall except for special legislation, and there's no evidence from the 1870s that there was any special legislation to do this. And I can understand the problem here is that you didn't have a young Minneapolis did not have the wherewithal to save the waterfall. So the Army Corps of Engineers had to come in and build the wall at that point. But they didn't just turn towards the city of Minneapolis and say, you break it, you buy it. They built the wall. And at no point has that wall been bequeathed to the state of Minnesota, or in turn has the state of Minnesota taken the wall. And I understand Jim Nash basically saying, well, if we just, first of all, I do not believe when the stick our ostrich head in the ground and not pay attention to things. So you got to go out and take a look at it. But I think that point alone is pretty clear that no, this wall, just all of a sudden it dawned on me. This wall was built less than 10 years after the Civil War. Yeah, it needs to be inspected. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, as much as they don't want to accept responsibility for it, get in there and fix it and make sure it's maintained before we lose our river forever. Now, I find this to be unbelievably on point today. Because if you also saw the Star Tribune, there was another story that came on out. Apparently, Alice Lake in William O'Brien State Park has disappeared. It's gone. It's gone. Now, I'm going to let you know. I'll give you a little, here's little inside information. William O'Brien State Park makes an appearance in the upcoming calendar. But if you've ever been to William O'Brien State Park, there basically is the one thing on the side of 95 down lower by the river, the St. Croix River itself. That's where Lake Alice is. I never really went down there. I was more on the upper side, which you then climb the hill up to the top of the river valley there. And I was up in that area. That's where I was at. So I never got down to, Lake Alice. I've heard of Lake Alice. I've heard it's a good fishing. Well, it was. Well, it's easy pickings now. It's more of a grocery cart situation at this point. But yes, we've lost a lake. Someone needs to get out on all those state signs and just take, incident free for how many days. We're going to have to just take one of the lakes off and put it back. We'll have to, change the number accordingly. Popular lake within William O'Brien State Park has dried up after a release valve has failed inside the dam that separates it from the St. Croix River. There's been in what could be a candidate for the understatement of the year statement, there has been a drawdown on Lake Alice due to the failure of the water control system, aka there's no lake anymore. Sarah Burhow, the Department of Natural Resources spokesperson, said with the Parks and Trails Division The earthen berm that separates Lake Alice from the St. Croix River is still intact. The lake behind it, however, has been reduced to some ponds of water. Recent rain activity had boosted the lake's water levels, so park officials opened a valve on Friday to release some of the water and stop it from overflowing. Well, mission accomplished. They intended to close the valve Saturday morning, but according to the DNR, it was stuck open because of a mechanical issue. We went to close the valve and there was no resistance. Oopsies. That loosened up, said Wayne Bomer, the park manager. The water continued to flow through the open portion of the dam, draining the lake. The scene on Monday morning at Lake Alice was of dead and dying fish, scores of them floating upside down or lying on the now dry lake bed. Dorsal fins cut back and forth in a handful of shallow pools. Northern pike, sunfish, carp, and minnows struggled to breathe in the water that gather around the foot of the fishing dock at the edge of the lake. And the fishing dock is smidge lower than it was before. Yeah, this is a problem. Now, I don't know anything about Lake Alice. I don't know when the mechanism that's in that dam was placed in that dam. I am not sure exactly how long it had been there. Can I bring up this question, though? So, okay, I'm just going to presume it's a pipe. All right, there's a pipe from the Lake Alice side over that drains out into the St. Croix River. Once you guys realize that you could not close it, why don't you grab like a piece of plywood or something, just put it over? I mean, I understand it's just a temporary thing and you might have to do something a little more serious, like a piece of concrete or something like that. But couldn't you have put something down against that pipe to at least slow down the water leaving the lake? Because it's, it seems like this happened on Saturday morning, and okay, I guess we'll wait till Monday, and hopefully we don't have a lake anymore. That's the one thing I have a hard time with. And also, if I can say, I hope the DNR was down there getting all these fish out and putting them in the St. Croix River, so we didn't just have a bunch of dead fish. It's not their fault. Well, maybe, have they gotten smart? Are they wised up? Is this really are the fish behind all of this? I hope not. I don't want to be taken out by a northern pike. They're not exactly the smartest fish. They'll bite anything. Look out, honey, it's a bass. The walleye, the most elusive and intelligent of the fish. Maybe a walleye would take me out, but that's about it. So I'm okay. So one, why don't you guys, if it was a pipe, and once again, I could be woefully ignorant about this whole thing, but it sounds like that's what it was. It was just a pipe. Okay, well, the valve is closed. Well, why don't you just put like a piece of concrete or a piece of wood, and it might not have been perfect, but it would have at least slowed down the water outtake somewhat into the river. And I'm hoping, and it sounds like, the descriptions here of a lot of dead fish and stuff like this. How was it not all hands on deck with the DNR to get everyone down there to try to save as many of the fish as possible? You're about to fire up the state fair fishing lake there. I know where you could get some of the fish. There you go. We'll take you from Lake Alice right up to the St. Paul. There you go. Float away. This is part of the problem. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a break right now. By the way, did we get a winner on the tickets?
Yes, congratulations, Bill. You're going to Brave New Workshop's new show.
Enjoy, Bill. Enjoy. I've got tickets all week up till Thursday. Actually, up to Thursday. I got tickets this week to give away to Brave New Workshop. So listen every day for your chance to win. I might even have 2 pair to give away on Wednesday. More on that later. But there's a reason why we need to invest in infrastructure and stop playing games with this stuff, which brings me to Pete Stauber and the worst transportation secretary reality TV show, Sean Duffy, because they came back in and they're talking about how they want to save the Duluth airport. But the reality is they seem to be a day late and a dollar short, and they want to kind of ignore the fact that Joe Biden was actually in the process of doing it a lot better. We'll talk about that when I come back. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
Where's Francois? He's lost in a sugar haze tracking Nicolette's macarons from one summer stop to the next. And now they've landed at the Minnesota State Fair. You'll find their vintage macaron truck in the West End Market between Lulu's and the Blue Barn. They've got 16 gluten-free flavors, including 4 just for the fair. Cotton candy, root beer float, sweet corn, and mini donut. Nicolette's macarons are the perfect pick-me-up from all that deep-fried fair food. Light, sweet, and absolutely delicious. That's Nicolette's macarons.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate the 30% federal tax credit for solar by the end of 2025. And once it's gone, it may never come back. Fossil fuel giants and their MAGA friends in Washington want to kill green energy. But you can fight back. Going solar with All Energy Solar isn't just smart, it's a form of resistance. You choose where your money goes, not to utility companies, not to fossil fuel billionaires, but toward clean, renewable power for your home. A system from All Energy Solar works in Minnesota year-round because it runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the dead of winter, you're generating electricity. And All Energy Solar helps you save with every rebate and incentive available. This is the moment to act. Waiting means risking with this tax credit and giving the upper hand to MAGA Republicans. So get your free consultation today at allenergysolar.com and take back your power.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. So clearly infrastructure, sometimes it just gets lost in history. Sometimes it just wear and tear. Sometimes it's MAGA stupidity that's affecting our infrastructure. Let me give you the U.S. Secretary of Transportation, Sean Reality Show Duffy, and Stubby himself, Pete Stauber, the Minnesota 8 Republican. They talk about the recent federal investments aimed at improving air traffic control systems across the country. The pair visited the Duluth International Airport, home to the third oldest operating air traffic control tower in the country, as airport and other local officials continue to push for the millions of dollars still needed to upgrade the systems there. Beginning his remark during the press conference during the tour, Duffy noted that he was born and raised in Hayward, Wisconsin. I have flown out of this airport. That takes away from it. It's a critical airport. Duluth International Airport's traffic control tower was built in 1952. It continues to grow more outdated. Meanwhile, the FAA representative on Saturday cited a 10% uptick in air traffic last year, adding that it has continued to grow. Duffy says, frankly, I do not realize how bad your tower was. It looks like the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s technology in that tower. That's unacceptable. I was taken by how old it was, how antiquated it was, he continued. I'd love to tell you that they are all really unique and special, but they're not. Duffy took the opportunity to tout the $12.5 billion in the so-called big Trump bill down payment that improves systems across the U.S., but added that he and Stauber had hoped for more than double that. Had I got all the money I'd wanted to in that bill, Pete was helping me fight for the $31 billion versus the $12.5 billion. I would have had it for all the big bucks and bricks and mortar that we needed. The $12.5 billion that we do have now is going to a new radar, new voice switches, new tower, stuff like that. So now, okay, wait a second here. Now, here's the one thing, and this is a KSTP story, and I don't quite know if they might have left something out here. So do you remember the infrastructure bill that Joe Biden passed? I could have sworn that there was funds in that for the tower. And didn't the Trump administration stop all those funds? As a matter of fact, Okay, so there have been major crashes at Newark and D.C. this year. They placed a national spotlight on the system's shortcomings. Federal Aviation Administration, the agency that regulates civil aviation, is more than 3,000 certified air traffic controllers short, using outdated technology, generally under-resourced. Okay. That's what the problem that they're having. And a lot of this was being addressed by Joe Biden in his infrastructure bill, which the Trump administration has systemically stopped a lot of. So this is what the money was to be used for. Okay, this is that $12.5 billion. Replacing antiquated telecommunications with new fiber and satellite technologies at 4,600 sites. Also, the hiring of new air traffic controllers and other things like that. So there's a lot of things that this $12.5 billion is trying to do. Including, and by the way, adding 174 new weather stations to Alaska. Okay. So if you take $12 billion and divide it by, I'll just forget about the air traffic controllers are going to have to train and get on the field, or the weather stations in Alaska that they say they have to build with this money. I'm just saying doing the needed updates at all these facilities. They say they have to do 4,600 sites nationally. $12 billion breaks down to equally $2,717,000. Joe Biden's infrastructure bill gave $11 million specifically to the Duluth airport. $10 million one year, $1 million another year. He gave $11 million. You guys are patting yourselves on the back because you're going to give them, if you're lucky, $2,717,000. With all these other things that this money is supposed to go cover, it's probably going to be $800,000, $900,000, and that's it. If it would have gone with what they claim they wanted, and once again, we have to understand that the fault with this math equation is I'm removing a lot of things that this money is supposed to pay for just to try to give them the best outcome that they can get. If you took $31 billion, which is what Duffy and Stauber claim that they were trying to do, and you just only do the upgrades to the 4,600 airports in this country, that still is only $6,739,000, which is still well behind the $11 million that Joe Biden had authorized for that tower project. There's a little trick Republicans are using whenever they come into any community, and that is that they will sit there and they say $12.5 billion. Duluth is not getting $12.5 billion. That's for everything, which is such a massive amount of things. Once again, 174 new weather towers, modern hardware for all traffic facilities, 6 new air traffic control centers, runway safety by increasing the number of airports with surface awareness initiatives, replacing 618 radars, hiring 300, was it 300 or 3,000? It's 3,000, hiring 3,000 new air traffic controllers. All these things have to be done with that $12.5 billion, which means that the Duluth airport's not even going to get $1 million probably out of that, because there's so many other projects. So the Republicans come on out there and say, we gave this project $12 billion. You didn't give squat, man. And you think that we're this stupid that we can't do the math. You're not helping us. You're dramatically decreasing the amount of money Joe Biden had promised for that project and then acting like you saved the project. No, that's your knife in the back of the air tower in Duluth. You are killing it. And then basically, and there's this whole thing with Duffy sitting there saying, well, state needs to really step up here and fund the rest of this. You actually cut the amount of money that was supposed to go to it. And now all of a sudden you say, well, first of all, kiss our feet for being even here. And then, by the way, you need to cover all the costs that we just took away from it. No, Pete Stauber and Duffy did not help us in Duluth. No, not at all. Infrastructure. Native Roots Radio is up next. You have a wonderful rest of your day. We're back tomorrow. Until then, see ya.
Overwhelmed? Trying to make sense of